Okay, the man who hated the Antichrist. The Great Conjunction Theory held that since all things of this world below were the result of various planetary conjunctions, then all the peoples, empires, and religions of this world, even Christianity, could have their histories gleaned from the calculation of the cycles of long past planetary alignments. If astrology could be used to predict the future or understand the present, one simply had to reverse one's calculations in order to use it to shine light on the past. To demonstrate how Bacon, Lord Bacon, not Lord Bacon, Roger Bacon, he was a Franciscan monk, incorporated the theory of great conjunctions into his own historical schemes. He took an excerpt, almost word for word, from the astrologer and the Arab scholar Abu Mashar. That's who wrote this. Okay, they want Jove, Jupiter, in his conjunction with the other planets will be to signify religions and faith. So here, the six planets with which we come into conjunction, Jupiter, maintain that there should be six principal religions. They call them sectas principales in the world. Six different sects, six different principles. You know, when they say you will principles and powers. So these are, you know, prominent things. If he comes into conjunction with Saturn, it means the holy books. For example, Judaism, or that which is older than the others, just as Saturn is the father of the planets. So you're coming into Jupiter and Saturn coming in into conjunction is the father. Now it says if it's the sun in the Egyptian, which meant law. Okay, so one worships the celestial army led by the sun, is the Egyptian, I guess you could call it Babylonian. If Venus, it means the law of the Saracens, which are pleasure loving and lascivious. If it is with Mercury, then it is mercurial law, which is Christianity. So Christianity is mercurial, that's the Mithras and Hermes. They're all the same people, and Christ. Until at last the law of the moon, which will come to disturb it, and that is the sect of the Antichrist. And this is how it served as a map of history, and altogether different from the histories envisioned at that time. But it was these six conjunctions of Jupiter that were believed formative in the development of the six religions of the world, not and human culture. The ever unfolding providence of a Trinitarian Godhead. This is the dispensational model. But so, in spite of this, one can see how the history is made up of astronomical correspondences that are reconciled with the reckoning of the past, and thereby suiting the needs of our times, where we need to deconstruct the past, and it would be easy to do by looking at these conjunctions. This is the rise of the Antichrist looming in the immediate future with his law of the moon. So we have the law of the moon is the Saracens are kind of like Islam. So that's Venus, and the moon would be they're like well, the Antichrist, which means the deep primordial darkness, the essence of darkness. And so to combat that, this is why he studied all of this, so that he could determine. Also, they were yeah, they were missionaries. There are evangelical kind of proselytizing, they call it proselyting, um, which isn't always a good word. Like when we were in church, proselytizing meant you went to someone else's church and you tried to take their members, you know, and it's kind of like, it's easy to do that if you want to, you know, spend your time doing that, but it's not necessary. The actual evangelism was to the lost souls. And so they could even get the Saracens and they named all the different races that they would all come into Christ and would be thereby saved. So that was the Franciscans' goal, and they would travel to different countries, the Muslim countries all over the world. And then, they would go there and they wouldn't know. And this is like, we're talking 1200, 1300, so the 13th century, 14th century. They would go to all these countries not knowing what they were going to encounter. Like, they've got a different language and, but these are like explorers and they call them, selves Franciscans, which were a monastic order of the Universal Church, which was Catholicism. And, they had a cross and, they got their thing, right? They're jacked. And they would go to all these different countries. But the way Bacon did it was he would study what the history of their conjunctions. You could put a map. I mean, he used astrocartography, and if Saturn was um, kind of as a cast a shadow on that part of the world, they would know those people were of a certain type of character, color, and intelligence, and everything. They used it for that. So that's how specific and factual and historical the study of astrology is.